what kind of advice would you give a first-time home buyer? Let's say they have a small down payment, they qualify for a small mortgage, maybe up to $400,000. Maybe that's the end of their budget. Where would you consider they look and invest?
What's your opinion on co-buying, like two friends getting together and purchasing? No Starbucks every day. No avocado toast every day.
No.
Eat some Fruit Loops.
Go to the grocery store and cook for yourself.
Yeah. Welcome to the TNT Real Estate Podcast, where we spark conversations that set you up for real estate success. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tanya, and each week we bring you expert tips on navigating Northern Ontario's real estate market. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you thrive. Welcome back to the TNT Podcast, where we unpack real estate trends with a Northern lens. I'm Tanya, and I'm joined by Tyler.
Yep.
Tyler, what are you doing? I heard you're leaving us today, this afternoon. You're leaving town.
Yeah, I'm going to Tiny. And nobody knows ever.
What is Tiny?
Even at the office, I was like, yeah, I'm going to Tiny for the weekend. And they're like, where the hell is Tiny?
Is it like a tiny house you have?
No, it's Tiny Beach, Ontario.
Oh, Tiny Beach, Ontario.
Yeah, it's close to Midland.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, it's my brother-in-law's parents' cottage.
Oh, nice.
It's beautiful, so it should be a nice weekend.
So all the family's going?
Yeah. The kids are going, their kids are coming.
Oh, good.
So it's right on the beach, so that's some
nice.
fun. Yep.
How many are you guys going to be there?
4 adults and 4 kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's at least the kids are not outnumbering
It's a good ratio.
The adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. What are you up to?
Flying away tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you're going.
We're going to Quebec.
Charlevoix.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to go to Charlevoix for the weekend. It's my birthday. My birthday weekend. So we're going to go hiking and eating and spying.
Nice.
Perfect mix.
That's a good mix for sure.
It's going to be great.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about Gen Z and millennials and their home ownership journey. Have they given up on home ownership? Is it possible for them to purchase homes, and what is happening? So Tyler,
yes.
You've been a homeowner since you were
I thought you were going to say you are a millennial.
You are a millennial. You're not a Gen Z, but
yes.
You've owned a house since you were very young. You were in your 20s when you bought your first home.
Yep.
So how do you see people now, your age, when you first bought your first home? How are they getting into home ownership, and how are they feeling? I
feel like the people I kind of grew up with, like everybody bought a house in their 20s. Like I bought mine when I was 23. I think I was 23 or 24. And then I feel like shortly after, like everybody bought houses. It was just like the thing to do. Mm-hmm. They, like most of their parents were obviously homeowners as well. And it was just like the thing you do. Like when you have like a down payment, figured out, you talk to the bank and you buy a house. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the way it was. And it's not like it was that long. It was, less than 10 years ago. Yeah. But I feel like the attitude of home ownership has maybe changed a little bit. Certainly the pricing getting into the market is more challenging for young people coming today than say 10 years ago when you were buying your first home. Yep. But I don't think it's unattainable. I certainly think it's something people can do if it's the right time. My she's a Gen Z and she's turning 20 this year. And, I'm sure that home ownership is not going to be on her horizon or any of her friends probably for the next 5 or more years, just because they are just at a different phase in life, right? Yep. They're adventuring, traveling, still learning and deciding, where they're going to live. So I think investing in property is maybe something that isn't necessarily on the radar because they might not even know where they want to be. That's right. But certainly for those who are already in the workforce and wanting to, put down roots and have a stable home, I think there's going to be some creative ways that they're going to get into the market. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like I feel like Mel and myself, like we always knew our home base was going to be Sudbury. So it's not even like we really adventured out and we're like, oh, what if we moved to, Ibiza or whatever it is? I don't know why I picked Ibiza, but Florida or Arizona. Mm-hmm. And so that wasn't even on our radar because obviously we like traveling and going away, but we always like knew that we wanted to raise kids here. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I also have a lot of friends that I grew up with that did kind of travel around. Most of them did end up coming back. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen in your 20s? And I feel like the world is so getting smaller meaning like it's easier to go at places and, to kind of look through and kind of invest your time.
Do you think we're maybe places? A little bit more isolated here too? Like I was thinking about it. I would imagine our students here graduating in their, early 20s are probably saddled with a lot less debt than in other economies. Yeah. Like a lot of the students graduating here, even a lot of them can have their loans forgiven if they continue to work here, depending on what kind of industry they're in.
That's right.
And our industries do pay very well here up north. So I think, on a national scale, we probably hear about that student debt being a big deterrent for a lot of millennials and Gen Zs to get into the market. But certainly here locally, I don't think we have that as much of as a concern.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, our younger generation's really given up like the whole home ownership. I would say, and like we're kind of local to Sudbury where it's a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. I would say like the national average is going to go down with like these people, like they're not even thinking about it, and most of the people will not be able to afford it in their lifetime. But I feel like Northern Ontario, it's a totally separate conversation, and lots of people are wanting it at least.
Yeah, there was an interesting speaker that we had heard back when we were at an AREA conference last year. Actually, it was last March when we went to Ottawa. Yeah. There was this woman, and I believe she was a big investor in the Muskoka region and is from sort of the GTA region as well. And she has this major portfolio of real estate investment right now, but she started off and she said, she came from an immigrant family with not a lot of money. And she said, live where you want to live and rent, but buy where you can afford.
Yeah.
And she started off purchasing properties outside of her region where she could, rent them out and still cash flow and make a little bit of money. And then she sort of built this massive real estate portfolio. Not that that's the goal of most people or anybody necessarily, but it's a good jump on the ladder if young people are feeling like they can't buy in this city where they want to live, and they want to live in this big thriving city where it's quite expensive. But, if they can save a little bit of money, they can certainly be investors elsewhere.
Yeah. I feel like that's what we saw, especially throughout the COVID years in Sudbury. Mm-hmm. We had a ton, especially of young people. I probably sold, 20 to 30 places for like to people under 30 years old that just wanted to invest. They all lived in, condos or at home or wherever it was, but they couldn't afford to buy in the GTA. And so they came up here and bought and, are doing very well on their investment. But I feel like that's like the undertone of all of this is like, if I had to give advice, would just be like, just buy something, because like the people that, bought a house or owned a house 6 years ago and had, not that we're going to have a COVID jump again, like we did, but it's time in the market instead of timing the market. Like you just have to be in it. You just got to buy something. And it's like the foundation of all your financial, means moving forward.
I think there's speculation and there's investment, right? I think some people might hear about those sort of like speculative type products where you're buying like a pre-construction or something and hoping to sort of flip it, or buying a home and hoping you can just flip it within a year or two. That can be difficult and that can be dangerous, certainly if you're not an investor or like a seasoned type flipper type property. But like you said, it's about holding property and not timing the market and not trying to just get a leg up necessarily, because as long as you hold that property for 5 years or longer, you're going to make out well in the end.
Yeah.
Certainly the prices aren't going to drop significantly enough over time, and hopefully you've rented it out and made some money or lived in it and not paid rent during that time as well, right?
Yeah. And I typically, like when I'm dealing with especially younger investors or first time investors, I literally tell them, I'm like, do not call me next year to sell this property. Like call me in a couple of years, because that's not the goal. If you have to, obviously, call me and we'll dispose of it, and chances are it'll be fine. But most real estate investing is 5-10 years outlook. Like just let it sit.
So what kind of neighborhood would you maybe shop in, or what kind of advice would you give a first time home buyer? Let's say they have a small down payment and they have they qualify for a small mortgage, maybe up to $400,000. Maybe that's the end of their budget. Where would you consider they look and invest?
I would say West End, West End of Sudbury. So Gatchell's in there, and then obviously closer to downtown, but not necessarily in downtown. But I think that's the sweet spot. Even like Ontario Street, Simcoe, like the couple little ones that are kind of hanging out. Those it's a perfect area, especially for rentals. You can still find, duplexes, triplexes, or even single families for 400.
Yeah.
So I think that's my golden ticket, I would say.
Even if you get like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, which I think you could probably get around 350, 375. We had seen that one, I think it was Iyer or Whitaker that had sold in our office recently. And then there's another agent having a property coming up at 350. That's a really sweet little house for 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. So at that point, maybe that's the kind of first home to just kind of get into the market.
Yeah. Just get there. Cause I remember even like when I started, those houses were 150,000.
Yeah.
And now they're 350.
Yeah.
So you've just built, 200,000 of equity. And when you're ready to move up from that house, you have a massive down payment ready for your next house.
Yeah. Even if your home doesn't appreciate, I think one important consideration is that you don't necessarily need to bank on that appreciation of the market. Sure, it's great bonus if it does appreciate, but if you haven't paid rent for the last couple of years and you've put money towards building that equity on that home, like you said, you've got a nice chunk of down payment to go to the next property.
Yeah. And that's kind of why Northern Ontario is sort of the exception. Obviously, if there's somebody listening to this podcast in Toronto, they're like, there's no way I can spend 350,000 on anything, not even dirt in Toronto. So it's definitely a different story, but that's kind of why Northern Ontario is the exception. We still have all the amenities that you would need to live, but I would say we have, more good things.
And we have really good rents too, like really stable rents, high enough rents. Maybe some people would say it's unaffordable rent, but you can get professionals who are wonderful tenants who will pay the rent on time and build your investment. Or you can come move here and enjoy the beauty of Northern Ontario.
Okay, so for the people that you think that might be on the fence about home ownership or investing, what do you think would be like a strategy or solution besides, like, let's say first time homebuyer programs that people can get into, but what's another kind of solution to their issue if they don't think that it's affordable?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think you have to look at your finances. You really have to look at your budget. You have to go speak with a financial advisor and see where you can build it in. You have to be able to save some money, certainly, right? And if you can save for that down payment, the first home savings account is a great avenue. Also maxing out your RSPs if that's available to you. Just getting that down payment built, I think, is your very, very first step. I think that's attainable. And make sure you have your a little bit extra for legal fees and whatnot. But there are some great incentives with the rebate of the land transfer tax here in Northern Ontario. So you don't have to pay that as a first-time home buyer. There's a lot of really good incentives. But first things first is know your budget, know what you can afford monthly on housing costs, save for your down payment, and then just repeat that housing cost into a home. Like when we bought our first home, we were very fortunate that prices were really low here. Yeah. But I still look at the market today and I think if you're paying $2,000 a month in rent, plus utilities, even sometimes it's $2,400 a month, what can you afford in terms of a mortgage for that? Yeah. If you can save a little bit of your down payment and then just repeat that, instead of putting money into your rent, you put it into your home.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on co-buying, like two friends getting together and purchasing?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I had actually some clients, they were looking at doing that. They actually would have had to do that in Southern Ontario when they were looking for a property. It was two sisters and their respective partners. But they came up here and they actually both were able to purchase individual houses. Perfect. Which is lovely. Both under $400,000, really nice, brick homes. They're all really happy. But I think that's a great solution. Go in with family and friends. Certainly be careful on the legal aspect of things. You always have to think of an exit strategy, right? So at some point, somebody's going to want to exit the situation. It's not like a till death do us part kind of thing. So just be prepared for that and know what that exit strategy is going to be. Yeah. But I think it's a great option. Why not?
You stole my tip. I was going to say, make sure you sit down with the lawyers. The lawyers know exactly what you're doing, not just like, oh, they're both buying a house. This is what our end game is to do. and the lawyers will have it all written up
Yeah.
the correct way.
And the lawyers will think about scenarios that you might not think about as well, like how things could dissolve. Maybe you get a fight over dishes being left in the sink or something.
Or what happens if somebody dies randomly, like you never know. So
that's terrible. Why do you go?
I know it is. I'm just
dark
saying.
thoughts all the time?
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess what would your tip be to, like, somebody that's totally brand new, they're let's say 22 years old, they don't know much about like the housing market, what's the tip?
First step is call your local realtor, right?
That's very good.
Get in touch with a realtor, have someone tell you about the different neighborhoods and the pricing and what strategies are. I think there's a lot of misconception in what properties are selling for because we don't have that data published. So it can be sometimes intimidating when you look at the prices and you hear the stories of people paying way much more than the list price. Talk to a realtor because they know the actual data and the information. They can help guide you. Yeah.
Okay, so mine's a little bit different. Mine would be go to YouTube. There's like 1 billion hours of stuff that you can watch on home ownership. Now, a lot of it is Americanized, so make sure you're listening to like a Canadian style channel, but also talk to a realtor. They're going to kind of guide you. And even if you don't think that you can afford a mortgage or you haven't even thought about it, reach out to your realtor and they're going to get you in touch with a mortgage broker. And even if you're not ready to purchase right now, they will have they'll set you a little schedule, or they'll make you a little plan of like how home ownership is going to happen in 1 year's time, because you have to follow these steps.
That's awesome.
So I think that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, it sounds like, if people are sort of on the fence and feeling like, you're looking at the news and it's a little bit gloomy in terms of affordability and can we do that? I think we've got some really good actionable steps here that people can take to get into homeownership.
Mm-hmm. So I think obviously that's kind of a deep dive into like home ownership, especially with the younger generations. I think I would say that it's not like the whole goal of home ownership to Gen Z and millennials is not over, especially in Northern Ontario. I think tons of people want to be investors and want to own multiple properties. I just hear that when I'm talking to younger people. But what's your kind of final thoughts on that?
I think homeownership is attainable for everybody as long as you are able to pay your rent and have a budget and have a job. You can do it. Yeah. It might take you a little bit of time to sort of get the steps that you need to in place in order to do it, but I think it's definitely attainable. And I think you just need to work on your budget and get working on it, and it's definitely possible.
No Starbucks every day. No avocado toast every day.
No.
Eat some Fruit Loops.
Go to the grocery store and cook for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so whether you're in your 30s or 20s or just planning ahead, I think the dream of home ownership in Canada is still alive.
Absolutely. It's totally attainable.
Cool.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to the TNT podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave us a comment, subscribe, and share with a friend who might be interested in real estate.
We'll catch you next time, and until then, stay ahead in real estate.